Thanks for meeting me. I know this is kind of sudden and weird, but I was hoping to talk to you for a minute. I don't think we should see each other anymore. No. It's not. You're not what I thought you were. We're just not compatible, you and I. I mean, there are things about you that I just can't. One, you're needy. You're real needy. The amount of money you want me to spend on you is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm living with my mom and her 2 brothers. It's not about that. It's just, you don't do what I need you to do. I just need you to run. Listen, we'll make this easy. Like I'll bring you out from time to time. Like I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm not going to spread rumors about you, you know. And I know you've been. I know you've been seeing Hunter. I know you've been seeing Hunter. Okay, well, I don't think we needed to bring that up. Area 2 didn't go my way. You know, I was hurt for a while. I wasn't going to use you anyways. You know what? I'm just going to go. All right. So today I wanted to get into something that it's a love-hate. You guys saw the love-hate Glock video. There's another pistol that I wanted to get into, and it's not really a review, but it's my experiences, and they're going to differ. This is going to be kind of a hot take because there's a few dudes out there who run these guns, i.e., what's up, Hunter? Belt. But it's the M&P 2.0 and the struggles I've had with it. This is a gun that for some reason, I really wanted to switch to because there's some features and there's some things about it that just make it awesome. But for me, in my experiences, there's some things that just made it's not worth it. And it's not necessarily just the M&P in its stock form. It's what you'll see dudes typically bring it up to. And that's where it kind of varies on what you're going to be dealing with, or at least what I've dealt with. And we're just going to get into that in a couple features, the things that stand out, good and bad. The first thing about the M&P, which I hear from a ton of dudes who run this in competition, you'll notice it, is the barrel. That the stock barrel that comes with the M&P is trash. And honestly, it kind of is. When I was shooting this, when this was my squeeze in competition, I started to notice things when I was shooting. Stuff that when I was running my Glock, for instance, I had never encountered, like clear, open targets. I mean, yeah, it happens. I get some mics from time to time, but I noticed that on further targets, my shot calling, which seemed fine, nothing felt off, nothing felt crazy, and it just, to put it plainly, and this is going to sound kind of stupid, it wasn't hitting where I wanted it to hit, but nothing felt off about the shots. The dot, I cracked the shots exactly where I wanted, where the dot was, everything like that. And I was noticing it was off, so I reached out to a few guys who have a ton of rounds through this, up at the GM level, which I'm not, and there were 2 opinions that I heard, is that you can get away with the stock barrel, which in my eyes is kind of like, it's trash, and then absolutely you need to change it out. So what I did, and the first thing I did was I bought an Apex barrel. First time filing, hand fitting a barrel, it took me forever because I didn't know what I could get away with. Literally was just hours. So that's like $200 to $300 I'm spending on a barrel. It's like, sick, cool, all right. And in my eyes, it kind of sucks that I should feel like I have to change out the stock barrel in a gun because it could be that crappy at distance. So this is with Apex barrel, zeroing, just confirming with it. All right, so Apex barrel, it's the aftermarket barrel. It's like $300. So that's zeroed. So we're going to put it out to distance because that's what you hear is that the stock barrel is trash, so we're gonna compare them. So this barrel is now zeroed with this dot. And then we got a target probably like 25, maybe 30 yards out. And we're just gonna see if it varies a bunch. Oh. That trigger out of battery. Okay. It's not going to be perfect, but just want to see if there's anything wild between the two different barrels. And I felt this one. So that's not terrible. At distance, it's like, okay, if I'm aiming at the A zone, it's hitting the A zone. All right, let's do this stock barrel that comes with the M&P. So thank you to the sponsors of the channel. First up, handle of grips. Even though I don't really dig the M&P anymore, I still throw a handle of grips on because it pretty much, all my guns get a handle of grips. Use code COX, 25% off. And all the ammo we've been shooting today is HSL ammunition. Want to give a shout out. They keep this channel running, honestly. So if you go check them out, use code COX as well. You get something off the shipping, I hear. But big thank you to them. It's awesome. It's been running great. And the last sponsor, Four Systems. Now you're asking yourself, Four Systems, they do cool cans. Yeah, well, this pistol doesn't have a can, but my rifles do, and that's what I use. Four Systems. Again, use code COX. We're keeping that universal. Shout out to them. Again, the sponsors keep the channel running. We're not rich men, so all the help we get is very much appreciated. So I'm gonna zero the stock barrel to this optic, make sure everything's the same. That way, maybe less yelling in the comments. Like legit feels like it's all over the place. I gotta go look at that. I'll bring it down one and left one. See, with the apex is real easy, and this guy, so I shot it, I adjusted, I even adjusted again, and still kind of all over the place. And this is what I was noticing when I was competing with it. So I'll adjust one more time and go after that. As long as it's kind of grouping, then we'll see what it acts like at distance. All right, well, it's zeroed what I can zero. So we're gonna shoot the stock barrel out there. We're just seeing if it acts weird or funny. There were times I was completely missing the target, which isn't fucking new, but it was odd. It was like, no, I felt like if I was shooting my Glock, I would have called that shot. Those are all feeling good, and I can already see this is fucking. There was one off. There was one just then. It didn't feel good. That one felt good. That one felt good. That one felt good. I feel like I'm getting a good rest. That one felt good. All right, let's go check that out. All right, so this is all over the place. There's one of them that felt like shit, like for sure. And I don't know exactly where it was, but that's, so before we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is with the stock barrel. Just all over the place. So no, I don't think, it is kind of trash compared. The group is way more opened up than the other one. And then these, that's kind of concerning, especially what happens if I go out further. Yeah, I don't know about that. So it seems like even with the just stock barrel, it's kind of trash. Maybe if it likes, that's the thing, is the argument, well, maybe it likes certain ammo or it doesn't like certain ammo. I was experiencing this with whatever I shot before, whether it was AAC, Winchester, Blazer, whatever it was all over the place, a stock barrel. And so again, all the guys who shoot a ton with this gun, yeah, you switch it out for an Apex. So automatically, if I'm getting that gun, I'm gonna want to switch it out for a better barrel. Whereas if I took my Glock or one of the PDPs, I never had an issue with ammo being all over the place when I switch brands a ton. Maybe there might be an oddball, but never had to deal with worrying about it. If I show up to a match and I ran out of a certain kind or whatever it is, like never had to deal with that. Now, another thing with the M&P is the plate. So it has that like loaded chamber indicator hole at the top, which you can't see as much with the Apex barrel, but it's still there. There's still like half the circle after using the Apex barrel. And what that does is it just shoots all that carbon straight onto your optic, and pretty quickly, like after a stage or a training session, like your dot just straight has carbon all over it. So calculated kinetics, they have a plate called the dog tag. So now, even though it's like an optic ready system and everything like that, I'm getting the dog tag plate, which honestly, it works out well. It works like really well to where I'm not having to wipe the dot after every run or whatever it is. So that's kind of cool, but that's something also you got to think about. You got to think about, okay, now I'm going to get that, right? Especially if I'm competing. Now, if you're just bill drilling in a Walmart to stop a bad guy, you know, maybe you're not going to be as effective. But if you're out there training, that's something you have to think about. That's a whole nother thing that I'm getting for the gun. So now I got the barrel, I got the plate, and the stock triggers that come with an M&P, they're all right. They work. There's nothing special about them at all. I think they used to have a hinge trigger before, which did really well with ice test and stuff like that. But like we all do, or most of us do, we switch out the triggers. And I got an Apex trigger, which honestly is absolutely tits. And that was a big draw to this gun. So this trigger, I mean, that's kind of the take up, if you will. And then the break, like there's the wall every time. And it's just like that trigger is awesome, especially if I'm doing like one-handed shooting, right? Just drink a cup of coffee in the morning. It's first stage of the day and it's strong hand weekend or whatever it is. I like those triggers, especially if your fundamentals aren't sound, is unlike Glock, right? You're never going to get that type of trigger with a Glock, at least that I've seen. I know there's some new triggers coming out to the market fairly soon, if not already out. I think Trigger Tech and another company, which I was asked not to say anything. But with the Glock, way more, a little bit of a mush. So when it comes to that strong hand weekend, having such a light trigger with a defined wall and then the reset is just awesome. And that was one of the things I really liked about the gun, especially as someone who doesn't have super fast splits, right? I've never been that guy. I don't think I'll ever be that guy. You're not that guy. That was a draw to the gun. But again, so now we're talking about almost having to replace the barrel, getting a different plate, which stops all that carbon from shooting up. And then the Apex trigger, I mean, we're looking at another $400 or $500 added to the gun, already added to a $500-$600 gun. You know, that's kind of getting to me. I'm not a big fan of that, because now we're getting into the realm of what, $1,000 gun. That just opens me up to a bunch of different guns. You know, at that point, I can order a PDP match with like one of those, one of their triggers, and it's just like that. Those triggers are really good for about the same price, and it's already ready to go. And usually, like, let's say for instance with an PDP, the only thing I'm really worrying about changing is the recoil spring to a lighter one instead of one of the heavy 18, I think it's like 18 pounds, something like that. So, and that's if I don't change the recoil spring on this, right? Of course I'm going to add a handle at grips. Now, as far as shooting it, it feels comfortable. it's a nice gun to shoot. I rather enjoyed shooting it. There's small things which you could train out, like the reloads. They're not going to be as forgiving as like Gen 5 Glocks, right? But not all guns are. Glocks just kind of, with the Gen 5s, they're just kind of king. It's like cheat code when it comes to it. So I do like the way it shoots, but in order to get it to the point where I think it needs to be, especially with that barrel, let's say the plate, trigger, I mean, you could argue whether you need it, not need it, right? I want to have that, especially if it makes the trigger so much better. Shoots well, but here's where, even after all that, I still wanted to give it a try, is the issues I was having with it. And it's the light strikes. Is today, taking it out, shooting it, getting some more time with it is, on top of the months I spent training with it and shooting it in competition, it was the light strikes that would happen. I think I have some footage of it that we'll toss in if I do. Right, you can really see the dip down because it's like, I'd pull the trigger even harder, thinking maybe if I just pull a little bit harder, it'll suddenly go off. No, because that's just for it. When I post about the M&P in any way, or if anyone asks me, right, I did like a story thing on Instagram asking if I was going to shoot the M&P again. And when I explained possibly if I could figure out the light strikes, that's the #1 response I got from other people, is M&P doing M&P things. And is it really an M&P thing? I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it was the barrel or the trigger or adding those two, whatever it is. But every once in a while, I feel like every single match I'd have a light strike. And I think what finally did it was when I was on a Classifiers, the 24 series, when they already came out. So those were already fucked. And then I had a light strike. And that's what kind of made me, I was just done dealing with it. I asked around a bunch, and you'll see it. You'll see a lot of the guys. One thing I noticed is a lot of guys who shoot this gun is you'll be watching their match footage, and let's say they post up all the stages. At some point, they're racking out a round because they had a light strike as well. And it was happening no matter what type of ammo I was putting into it, which is really weird because then today I come out shooting and I didn't have a light strike. I don't know. Few hundred rounds just to get a feel for it again before I did this video. There's a guy that I knew that also switched to M&P. Same exact gun. He got the same exact barrel, same exact trigger, and he was having light strikes. Not every stage, maybe every other, but for sure during a match, he would have a light strikes. And especially when you're shooting a match, and let's say if you're carrying it, right? I don't want to have a light strike at all. Can it happen? For sure. Might happen from time to time, but I remember I took my Glock out and he was shooting, and we would take the round that he was getting light strikes on. I'd put it in my gun, my Glock, and it would work just fine. And he was changing everything. Lighter striker springs. I think he messed with some the trigger springs because it comes with 2. And then I've also heard different things. I've heard that the trigger, the back where it engages the sear or whatever it's called, is that some dudes will actually take it, bend it, and then bend it back to lengthen it so that way it gets better engagement. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to put so much money into the gun, right? Let's just say you even forget about the trigger. Let's just say I'm going to change the barrel. I'm going to change the optic plate. I don't want to have to, the shit I have to do to bring this gun up and all the aftermarket parts just to get to where I want it to run kind of like a Glock or kind of like a PDP is just not worth it, because now I'm about 1,000, maybe more, into the gun before I buy mag extensions, before I buy whatever, holsters for it. I'm already a shit ton of money into the gun, a shit ton of time trying to figure out light strikes. Has this happened with everyone? No, but it's happened with enough people that when I post about it, I'll get 20, 30 dudes replying that they've had the same issue. Literally, M&P doing M&P things. Now, is this the stock M&P doing it? No. And maybe I'd give it some leeway if it wasn't for the fact that I'm going to have to change out the barrel. I bought this gun. I bought these parts. Calculated Kinetics, they were nice enough to send me the plate, but I'm still a ton of money. And this is one gun. This isn't if I were going to carry it, because if I'm shooting competition, I would like to at least carry the same gun, right? Kind of keep it universal. This isn't before a carry gun. This isn't before a second competition gun, because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And it's just not, it became not worth it to me. Now, if you shoot this gun, it's going to vary. Experiences are going to vary. And the point of this isn't to completely shit on this gun or be that guy, but it's to talk about my experiences. And as we go about this channel, there's some guns that I'm getting into that I want to talk about my experiences. So maybe it'll save you money or put it on your mind. Hey, maybe that's not the gun I want to go with, especially if there's a chance I could encounter malfunctions after spending almost $1,000. So closing thoughts, you know, I don't know. If you want to shoot this gun, shoot the gun. Plenty of dudes have good experiences, but then again, there are plenty of dudes who don't have great experiences with this gun, including myself. I was just one of the unfortunate ones to, I don't know, maybe if I had more money, I'm not a rich man, I'd buy another one, or I'd buy 30, or like Hunter, belt. Maybe I would do that, but it's just not worth it. I'll keep it in the safe, you know, maybe I might dabble with it here and there, but to me, I'm just gonna stick with Glock, and I'm gonna start shooting PDPs more now that my arm can start to handle shooting, and you know, more frequently. Then that's what I'm gonna do. This isn't a buyer beware thing. This is just so dudes getting into shooting and they're looking at their first guns, or maybe you're thinking about it because you could bring a gun for duty use. Just think about that. The accuracy with the stock barrel. You're going to have to, from what I hear, what I experienced, is probably going to want to change out that barrel or a different optic plate. And then you're looking at the trigger and then hope that you don't get malfunctions. So that's it. Take it for what it's worth. Make your own decisions. I'm just a dude on the internet. That's all I fucking am, you know? So that's it.